Entering the Pat Mayo Experience.
Pat Mayo Experience. Pat Mayo Experience. Pat Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by DraftKings US Open Recap, plus the Travelers Championship picks, bets, and one and done. The Listeners League available down in the description right now. 2,500 spots. Let's fill it very quickly. We'll keep rolling that back until the Open Championship is on the table, which is about 4 or 5 weeks' time. Also a reminder to smash the like button to the episode, sub to Mayo Media Network, and subscribe to the newsletter down in the description, which is completely free, which will have all the final information coming out on Wednesday evening. So if you don't do anything all week, just tune into the newsletter, and boom, you'll get all the information that you need. Geoff Fienberg is on the line with me. We did the Cut Sweat show. That was a lot of fun. None of us hit a winner. That wasn't so much fun. Although the best bet show turned out to be the best show of the week in terms of, actually, not the best show for the week in terms of profit. Our show last week did, but not from you and I. Actually had a good best bet show. Rate the U.S. Open out of 10 for me.
8.5.
Really?
I don't know. I had fun. Like I 8. Like it wasn't bad. Like it was what it was. I don't know why people were as. I never got that upset. Like I don't know. I had a great time. Sunday excited me. Of course, I don't know, -10. That's not like crazy considering where the tournament started. Wasn't a perfect venue, but I was only angry about the coverage, to be honest. But I don't know. I had a lovely day yesterday.
We'll dig into the coverage in a minute. I do want to give a shout out to everyone who subscribed, rated, and reviewed the Pat Mayo Experience audio podcast on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts. We almost got to number 1 in both Canada and the United States. We peaked at number 2 in Canada, number 3 in the United States, but we hit number 1 in Romania, number 1 in Ireland, number 1 in Pakistan somehow. But hey, shout out to all of the viewers of the Pat Mayo Experience residing in those locations, or at least setting their VPNs to download from said locations. Either way, it was a very big week, and there is a winner of the $500. His name is Neil, and he's at BSR the ATM on Twitter. So he doesn't even have to go to the ATM. He just open up his bank account, and boom, the $500 is in there. So thank you very much for helping us out. We'll run it all back for the Open Championship, and I feel like I've put this off too long. There is someone waiting to take a victory lap, and his name is the Big Game Hunter, Tim Undercust.
Tim Undercust.
That's not my name. You might as well call me MasterCard, because I'm over here collecting more credit than you can imagine.
Can you say that again? You're cutting out on us.
I said you might as well call me MasterCard.
We really can't hear you.
What?
Geoff, can you hear him?
No, but we were having a perfect conversation before we went on air, and I heard him perfectly.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Jeff's coming through clear.
Does that help?
Top Cat, not so much.
Come on, man.
Is there some? Did you
Really?
want to plug your microphone in?
I just plugged it. I unplugged and plugged it back in just to make sure it was working.
All I heard was working.
Come on. Is that any better?
I just heard better.
All right, so this thing is defective.
Are you in a tunnel?
Yeah. But I don't know if you can hear Paul. He's asking, like, are you in like your normal spot? I'm not sure what's going on.
Yes, I'm in my normal spot. Everything is perfect over here. Just obviously this microphone I have is defective.
Okay, I heard a little bit. Now it sounded like you were really far away from your microphone.
Now you should hear everything because I'm unplugged from the microphone.
Tim, we're doing a bit.
I'm unplugged. What?
We're doing a bit. Wow, we can't let you just come in here, have the moment.
Should leave.
You listen.
I should leave.
You can leave. Hey, do you really? You want to leave right now and not bask in your credit?
Well, it seems like instead of allowing me to have the credit I deserve, you would rather just steal it from me with this cheap bit.
Yeah, it seemed to be working.
This isn't funny. It isn't funny at all.
I believe you soaked in your credit a lot last night, sir, and you're going to get so much praise on this show. And the commenters down in the comment section are going to say very nice things about you for the first time ever. This is your time. I'm sorry that you can't have a little bit of fun with it.
Well, it's just I thought my microphone was defective. That's all. I was becoming very annoyed. And I want you to bleep out that profanity, please.
What profanity?
There was one. When you listen back, Paul will hear it. Paul will bleep it out.
When you say listen back, you think we listen back to these episodes before we post
Paul
them?
knows this is very early on in the episode, so you or Paul can hear it and bleep it out.
Do you have the
I
time
can hear
code
it.
for it?
No, I don't have the time in front of me, but it was early on in the show, so it shouldn't be.
I listen to Pat every single day, so like all of those words just go over my head.
All right.
I know.
Well, maybe it was during maybe it was during the part when your audio was cutting out.
Stop it. It wasn't cutting out. Stop it. This is cruel. This is very cruel. It's all sour grapes from people who thought it was real. I was going to take the high road here, but now I'm not going to. Now I'm taking the low road. I'm not being, I'm not Denny King anymore. I'm not. What was his name? What was the name of the coach from the Vikings and the Cardinals?
Dennis
Green?
Dennis Green.
Denny Green. I'm not taking the high road anymore. I'm taking the low road. I got laughed at mercilessly by you two on Monday. And it was so bad that it kept being brought up over and over again on shows about how moronic it was to say this was an easy show or that I'd spend my pick on a guy who was like 90 or 100 to 1. And, how was that egg feel frying on your face?
Oh, listen, I am taking an absolute shellacking over this. I mean, you being put up on the pedestal, me and Geoff becoming the laughing stock of everyone for laughing at you. You were right. We were wrong. There's no two ways about that.
There's no denying it. There's no denying it. And it wasn't even like, I mean, at least I know for me personally, and I think clarified quickly, I wasn't laughing at Wyndham Clark. I was laughing at you making him your gold pick without odds. Like,
yeah, why should I pick the guy who's going to win as the guy as my goal
You're the
pick? What a dumb idea.
You did it. You did it. Dude, this is all you. You can have this any way you want. I'll even remember it as a score of 16 under if you want me to.
It wasn't. But you know what? It felt, you know what? In all sincerity, I appreciate the kind words. It's nice to hit one on occasion. Don't ever doubt who the big game hunter is. I had a good feel for this. I've had a good sense that this course would line up for a bomber who putts well. And Wyndham Clark is a bomber who putts well.
Incredible.
Was this a good course? No. Should Wyndham Clark have been able to hit his second shot on 18? Should Rory have been able to hit his second shot on 17? No. This U.S. Open did not punish bad shots. That's why it was a really bad course for this tournament. But given the nature of the tournament the way it was, Wyndham Clark was always going to be there. And I wasn't worried about the chasers. Rory had to break par on Sunday at the world's easiest U.S. Open track to win, and he didn't have it in him. Ricky pulled a Corey Connors from the PGA Championship and didn't show up on Sunday. And Scheffler, you can't. I'm starting to think Scheffler's win at the Masters is a fluke.
Okay, I
want losing all these tournaments.
I wanted to bring this up because I think we touched on this a little bit on the Cut Sweat show. How the only one who gets labeled a choker for not winning is Rory. What about the number one player in the world?
Yeah, he deserves his heat. Now, in the end, it really was Rory who let this slip. He's only going to have so many chances at majors left in his career, and this was a great one, and he didn't win it.
He didn't hit a putt. He missed short putts. He didn't hit a putt of any significance, and Wyndham made every up and down.
And Rory got every break known to man yesterday too.
True.
Oh yeah, that was crazy in and of itself.
So hold on, I have a question. When he got the free relief on the par 5, that's because it wasn't embedded in the sand trap, right? That was the rule?
Correct. It was embedded in the grass. Yeah. And there's no distinction in the rule book between any part of the course that isn't a hazard.
Okay. That makes sense then. I mean, it's stupid.
It's the rule. It's a dumb rule, but it's no. I didn't dispute the rule. Like 100%, it was being applied correctly. It's just a moronic rule.
Okay, what's a more moronic rule? Rory getting free relief from a ball that is plugged into the ground that he literally can't play, or Scheffler getting a free drop in the woods because there's a cord near him?
Oh, that was outrageous. Outrageous. You got Nick Taylor last week, chip standing on top of a sprinkler head to make a chip on the 72nd hole without any issue. And you got Scheffler demanding free relief from a cord. It was, again, it was the one thing this U.S. Open did do, and I'll give it its credit, is that it did bring out the true characteristics of the people who were competing in this championship, right? Like in the worst way. It asked questions to Rory, questions to Ricky, questions to Scheffler, and they all failed the test in their own particular way that they always fail these tests.
Yeah, Rory bogey's a par 5.
Bogey's a par 5, doesn't birdie where he needs to. He made a birdie on one and then made like 16 straight pars or something, or 14 straight pars. But like,
he burned 14 straight edges.
He did this at St. Andrews too.
Well,
he had bad strategy, and it once again was not effective.
In fairness, he bogeys I wasn't the easiest par 5, but it's a par 5. If you're
15, yeah.
If you're making par everywhere, if he makes the opening birdie and pars every hole, he's in the playoff.
That's correct. But he couldn't do it.
No, fair enough. And it's not, but I thought it was a lot different. I mean, the result ended up being the same as what it was at St. Andrews. The problem was, like, he was actually giving himself real looks to make birdie, and he was just missing it by an inch. At St. Andrews, he was putting the ball to like 80 feet and 2-putting. Now, that happened a few times, but it's a U.S. Open. You don't expect, like Cam Smith at the Open Championship with the winning score being minus 20 or whatever it was, like someone was going to go shoot a score. You had to continuously make birdies. On Sunday, it didn't really feel that way. It felt like 1 under. I mean, 1 under would have been good enough to get you into a playoff, but like the par strategy was good, and he probably left, 8 birdie putts on the table that were like entirely makeable.
I thought he should have taken a rip at the green on the par 5, and he didn't.
He could have shot a 67 yesterday. Like,
he did.
Could have, but again...
He missed the 3.5 footer. He missed the 3.5 footer on 8. He missed like a couple 8 foot. The only putt he made was a par saver of like 7 feet on 17.
Yes.
That was the only putt he made all day. And Wyndham playing that 2-hole stretch at 1 over where he was in shit in both holes was just absolutely incredible.
It happened to him Saturday and Sunday. He got into 2 stretches where he got bogeys, and you thought, oh boy, here we go. The wheels are coming off. And he just steadied the buffs and made fantastic chips and putts.
The chipping was incredible, and the fact that he missed 2 down the stretch, but prior to those 2 he had missed, he was 98% inside 10 feet for the week. Like,
yeah.
It was a very Gary Woodland at Pebble performance. Everything that could have went right for him.
And as you heard 5,000 times on the broadcast, faders win the U.S. Open, and only player out here hitting fades is Wyndham Clark.
I also enjoyed that Azinger tried to play up his, it was 17. His chip on 17 as being this like immensely difficult shot, although he's very clearly like sitting up in the very short rough. But the entire day, everyone who came to 17, Azinger suggested putting it where Wyndham Clark put it.
Yeah. All he had to do was literally chip the ball and then get it on, like, not a difficult chip, and get it on the line that everyone had the perfect, easy line for all day. So you're absolutely right. That was, I don't know. I didn't even hear that because, honestly, the weekend coverage, I wasn't even like listening with volume, and that's not even me normally, but I was doing like had family events, and it was on the whole time. I was watching it, but I didn't hear any of his dumb shit. But I was already fed up with the broadcast by Friday, I promise you.
Well, you're a pretty neutral observer when it comes to the broadcast, Tim. You're not like on Twitter complaining about everything all the time like 95% of us.
No.
Did you find it was really like Azinger was bad?
Yes. But Azinger is bad and has been bad for a long time. And like I said, I tweeted this out that like I think CBS does a bad job on its golf coverage, but I think Immelman is a fantastic commentator, and not having him in the saddle on this weekend really made a difference. I think Dan Hicks is fine. I think Brett Faxon is fine. I think the guys they have on the course are more or less okay. I even think, as much as I tease Nota Begay, I think he's a fine on the course commenter. And I didn't hate the coverage. I could have done without seeing every single Scotty Scheffler shot when Dustin was doing exactly the same score, and they showed like 2 of his shots, and they had to show me every shot that Scotty was missing, and that was a bit frustrating. But whatever, they got their biases. But it wasn't great coverage, but it wasn't bad coverage. But Azinger is terrible, and that's the frustrating part. That like
if
we have
you
to
are clued in the slightest, if you're clued in the slightest. The coverage sucks. The coverage sucks. There's no other sport on planet Earth that's just literally telling you to be a casual because we can't accommodate your hardcore needs.
Even
maybe the CFL, and I hear they get scores. They're getting scores wrong on their website that they redid, and I'm not even paying attention to that. There's a few people on my feed, so like we're a step above the CFL as golf fans.
Yeah, but if you are producing the U.S. Open broadcast, you are producing it for the lowest common denominator.
I
agree.
Did,
I'd fire you.
I agree, but at least
this
in
week
the
is
other
different.
Sports, there's like, I don't know, everything else is up to date, and I know golf is a harder, bigger animal, but I just mean no other professional league says, "Whoa, if you proceed past this point of being a fan, like proceed with caution," because we honestly cannot accommodate you.
Well, why don't you put something on the bones? What is something that they missed this week?
Okay,
the shots are like 14 minutes behind him. And
Sure.
I'm talking about good players. If you are paying attention, if you are aware in the slightest, I'm telling you, the broadcast is so much worse. So much worse. If you're like naked to it, and it's fun. When there's literally only like 3 guys who can win left, that's fun. And there's no like, I don't really care, and everyone's in the clubhouse for your lineups, and I'm not like into anything else. I can be like 3 minutes behind. I do not care really. Like at that point, it's all kind of over, and we're gonna watch.
But you don't need to look at your app. Like if you're not going to change, like your bets are made, you're in. You don't need to look at it. Just watch the program.
But they don't tell you. But I'm trying to look at guys that there will never show. And by doing that, I'm still like my eyes are still on a screen, so I see what the other players are doing.
I have great empathy for you because I don't think you
and
will
I'm
ever
not even
get
here.
what
Like
you want.
I'm not even here about DFS or betting guy. I'm just saying, if you are interested in the slightest, if you have a interest above a casual interest, golf as a sport can honestly not accommodate its fans. They just can't. And I get that it's hard, and I don't even have the suggestion for them, although Pat's come up with 100 of them.
I don't have a suggestion for them, but I did feel very noticeable at the U.S. Open, even versus the players. I mean, the players are an entirely different beast with the way they cover it. It's the best coverage, realistically, that or the Masters, because they have the app that can go hand in hand with what you're doing. But even to compare the PGA Championship versus the U.S. Open in terms of coverage, at least at the PGA Championship, if I wanted to go to the digital side and start streaming something like, hey, here are all the par threes in a feed that I can stream in real time. Right. Here's the featured hole that I can stream in real time. Here are 2 groups plus another 2 groups, if that's really what you're caring about. So the expanded coverage of the featured groups is really nice. All we got for this one was 2 featured groups, which were just the guys that they were showing on the broadcast. They were just taking from that feed. And they had the featured holes group, which was 2 holes. That was it.
Every sport on earth, like literally, they want to cater to everybody. Everybody. Obviously, broadcasts are not, like, in a sense, even NFL broadcasts, you could argue, aren't for people that care as much as us, Tim, or the people who are watching. But they don't literally, like, they're literally there to service even the most fever pitch fans in some format from a league sanctioned thing. And golf, they literally say, like, no, like, do not like us too much. Because if you like us too much, you're going to be angry because we can't service you. And
we talk about Wyndham Clark some more.
Yeah,
let's circle back to Wyndham Clark.
Sure, let's circle back to Wyndham Clark, and I
was going to because I have questions on that.
I have my question. And it pertains to the curse, because you told us that the curse is over. But we've been through this before. Anyone who says that the curse is over has not been watching the show long enough, because I've seen you go on heaters before. This has happened. So I'm actually kind of curious to see who you pick this week, or something in a different sport, because you might be nailing that one too. But it all just comes back around. As I did point out, you said that I was giving you a hard time on the show last week, which is absolutely true. But I did point out that there are certain occasions, once a year, once every 3 years, whatever it might be, that you are so correct about something, and it's usually an off-the-beaten-path take, And everything comes full circle, and you were correct. Now, you didn't get to the winning score of -16, but I will give you credit that you were the one who was saying that was going to play pretty easy, and it did play pretty easy. And you picked the winner. Everything went right for you. Although there was a chance where it could have flipped, and the 3 guys that you said had no chance finished 1, 2, 3 on the leaderboard, but you were right.
I would.
Those guys
very sensitive of the fact that 3 guys I wrote off were in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th behind my guy. As the course got a little tougher, I was like, oh my God, this is going to go very well, or I'm going to be proven correct. And it just happened that all of their tragic flaws all came to Scheffler's, profound inconsistency at playing golf got him, Rory's lack of a killer instinct, and poor Ricky just didn't have the sauce. But Wyndham, let's talk about him, because if you told me in 18 months' time we talk about Wyndham Clark the way we talk about Scotty Scheffler now, would you be surprised? Because remember, 18 months ago, we talked about Scotty Scheffler as he's a good player. No one ever thought he was going to be a star golfer to where he'd be the number 1 golfer in the world. I don't think anybody read or saw that. Now, you look at the skill set that Wyndham Clark has. He drives the ball farther. He's an excellent putter. He needs some work perhaps on his iron game. But, you look at how the modern game sets up and the skill set that Clark has in his youth, and now he's broken through with 2 wins in 6 weeks or whatever, particularly one being a major. Isn't the sky the limit for this kid?
Premier win, 2 wins. He's 2nd to Rahm Player of the Year right now. There aren't many
Ryder Cup
spots
stamped.
available.
Ryder Cup is
Ricky's.
done. Yeah, he's on the team now because of points.
He took Ricky's. Now Ricky needs an injury, and he needs to keep up his consistent play just for him to get a captain's pick good vibe. Or JT has to literally fall off the plan, but that's not even possible. So that's, I guess, it was a double-barrel dead day for Ricky. You want to make this about Wyndham, and that's fair. I want to make it about you, though. Is that okay?
We could do that. Absolutely.
Well, can you walk us through we get to the turn. I forget what Clark is up by at the turn. Is it 2 that he's up by?
No, 1.
He's up by 1 on Rory at that point at the turn.
Pretty sure.
So you must have been stressed out.
It was almost 3. It was almost 3.
Okay, yeah, but it wasn't.
He did get to 3 at one point. He did get 12 and 9.
That was on the back, though. I'm saying at the turn, walk us through your final. Fuck, these rounds were really long. Final 3 hours
Very
of the
long.
day.
I'm like, okay, every Friday and Saturday and also Sunday, Clark played really good golf on the front 9 holes that he played, and then he really began to struggle as he came in. So it's like, okay, well, he got that putt on when he made that birdie on 1. I was like,
he played
okay.
the back 9 4 under for
Let
the
him
week
tell his
before
story.
Sunday.
I know, but he had so many more birdies on the front 9, right? So he gets to the back, and it's like, okay, here we go. And then it wasn't when there was that birdie bogey opportunity that didn't happen, where they had them on the double screens at the same time. The key moment to me was when Rory didn't make his putt for birdie, and Wyndham did make his putt for par to get in. I was like, okay. So I'm feeling confident, but not overly confident, because anything can happen. And Clark has never been in this moment at all in his life. One of the reasons that you mocked me for saying Homa wasn't the face of this tournament, but I liked Wyndham Clark, was that Clark had never done anything in a major. And then he gets up 3 and he gives one away, and then he gives another away. And then I'm sitting over here typing in videos to try to soothe. I'm actually watching videos of Adam Scott at Royal Lytham giving away a British Open, doing exactly what I was afraid that he was going to do here. I thought, oh my God, this is going to be an Ernie Els situation, that he's going to have this big lead and give it all away with bogeys down the stretch. And it wasn't until Rory hit that drive on the par 5. It was such a dumb way to attack that par 5. He didn't think through at all what he was trying to do. And it was when he hits that drive into the rough, I'm like, okay, this is it. This is the moment that Rory has miscalculated. And then instead of trying to hit the lumber out of that rough, where I think he could have probably got it closer on, he hit a layup to a number that he obviously didn't want, hit a bad wedge. And as soon as he made the bogey there, I was like, I'm got a 90% chance here. Wyndham's won this. The only way he loses it if he loses it for himself. Rory doesn't have it in him today to win this thing. And yeah, when he hit that banana on 18, my heart just about stopped there for a second. Because I was like, Rory just got the break on the par 5, then he got the break on his ridiculous shot into the Augusta His shot on 17 looked like he shot at number 10 at Augusta pretty much, except, he was allowed to hit it from there. Because of course Bryson had played that hole that way this week. And of course he had. It's like, it was when he hit when that ball on that super slice landed in the fairway on 18, I was like, this is over. He has passed the last test.
Now,
and it felt
hold
very
on. You said that after the slice ended up on the fairway, that it was over. Everyone found it kind of peculiar that you didn't call the event over at any point.
In neither direction. I didn't give any overs to Fowler when he was up 2.
You didn't. But you do it. But you do it at every other tournament. Now, when you have a guy in the mix, all of a sudden, I guess the curse exists, and you don't want to put it into play.
I just decided to keep doing what I was doing. Like, I hadn't gone out and laid anything out about who's going to win. I was just going to let the course and the tournament sort of roll itself out, and I was pretty excited about it.
So you believe in that?
You're a believer.
I just didn't see a need to.
As the graphic suggests, you are a believer.
But
didn't see a need.
You're like,
and Tim,
you're like Peter Tork.
Torque?
Peter L. Torque, yes.
Wyndham was great on the back 9 all week. They showed the stat as the guys made the turn 4 under.
He made some huge par putts to save his bacon on that back 9, both on Saturday and Sunday, where he hit some sort of squirrely wedge shots that he saved himself with. When I say wedge shots, I mean like the full.
The worst Azinger sin that he committed the entire day was telling us how this shot is impossible on every shot, and then everyone putting it to 2 feet.
Well, because Azinger hasn't done any research. Like, he knew that Fowler and Wyndham had the same putter, and you heard it 7 times during the broadcast.
That was more Dan Hicks, but yeah.
Oh, because Dan Hicks knows what notes that his partner has in front of him.
People on Twitter complained about it more than the broadcast said it, and you gotta, for context, that's a lot. But Tim, again, back to you. Is this I'm not a very religious guy, so I don't know if this is insulting, but is this like a potential like before Christ, after Christ moment in your timeline? Like before Wyndham, after
I don't know.
Wyndham?
Like, that's a good question. I wonder if it's my biggest call ever. I mean, I think it's my biggest call. I don't know whether the perfect Survivor season was more impressive, because I had to do that 17 straight weeks. But it's on that level. It's like it's on that level, right? And like, people, of course, the most obnoxious people tweet at you, show me your ticket. First, that's an inconsequential question. Like, whether a person puts 1 penny or $500,000 on a bet has zero impact on the one bet they're giving out. Secondly, you don't know me very well. The credit that I have gotten and am going to get, and the amount of time I am going to be able to live large on this. Money comes and money goes. Today it's here, tomorrow it's gone. This isn't. This is the sort of thing that leaves an indelible mark on you that will allow me to play that card forever, just about. Like, it's extremely gratifying. Most people have been, of course, nothing but graceful, and I thank you people for your credit. I mean, is it deserved? Yes, but like, at the same time, thank you for being kind about it. These are the same people that go attack me when I get something wrong, so it was very nice of them to be pleasant when I was right.
Paul, do you have the other graphic ready? Is that? Oh, you've been mixing it in? I don't know if Tim noticed it or not.
I've been noticing it.
The Ander Curse Believer graphic?
There are many people saying that not only is the curse gone, but that this win alone will cause them to vote for Geoff next year. That's enough reason.
I don't understand.
The campaign
I don't understand.
Only needs to be. Look how Geoff reacted to the idea of Wyndham Clark winning the U.S. Open compared to Tim's looking at it.
It was Wyndham Clark as a gold pick without like
pretty good when he wins.
You're
listen,
right.
I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I wasn't laughing. I was laughing. I thought it was ridiculous, and here we are. Me with egg on my face.
But I'm
and
just
a
saying,
great
Pat,
call.
would you have laughed if Wyndham was a bronze or silver pick?
No, because Tim usually takes like one of the live guys as his gold pick, and then 2 long shots. And that's usually how the structure goes. And hey, maybe that's what it took. You just had to switch it up a little bit, and it worked.
I give Tim all the credit in the world. I was laughing at Tim. I'll make that clear. I was laughing at Tim, and I was wrong. I was not laughing at Wyndham Clark. Like, it was more like, gold pick? Like, guy doesn't even consider odds as a factor.
Christ, Jeff. Wyndham Clark's not going to date you, pal.
No, but more important questions. Tim, were you even able to sleep last night? Like, you must have been on...
It took me a while. I was wired for
and
quite
how did
a
you
while.
reward yourself?
Well, I made some overnight oats. Which were delicious, by the way. I will be going out for lunch, to zip through the drive-thru. So, the cashier at the box at McDonald's better get ready for a big toothy grin of me smiling when I order my my chicken wrap, the healthy one, not the burger or whatever. And I'm feeling good.
Oh my God.
I couldn't sleep. It took me probably to about 2:30 in the morning to go to sleep.
Do you know what's trending on Twitter right now?
No.
Your fave. Batman Returns. Everything's coming up you today.
Oh my God. This is why Jeff said last night he should make a bet on the Jets to win the Super Bowl. It could just be my year. They're 18-1. Probably going to happen.
Probably going to happen.
It's just maybe everything is mine. Now, I will say when it comes to Clark, I started thinking about him the day after the cut at the PGA Championship because he was a very, very, very popular play at the PGA Championship, and he fizzled out. I was like, this is exactly the type of player I'd be interested in the next major as a bounce back because people saw something in Wyndham Clark, smart people that just didn't come together this week, and I wonder if that it might be a good strategy this week coming.
Were you impressed with the people that tailed you on Wyndham Clark and won a boatload of money?
Absolutely. I am so happy for you people. Congratulations. I'm delighted that you were able to profit from this. Again, a call that I will be able to pull out of my arsenal as a response to a claim. Oh, you took a 16 money line parlay? You don't know what you're doing. Oh, yeah? Did you pick Wyndham Clark to win the U.S. Open at 100-1? I didn't think so. Sit down. I'm giving lessons for free over here.
Next time you tease through 0 to get to like 1.5 points, you throw this right back in that asshole's face.
Exactly. You think you're really good at capping sporting events? I called it 100-1 winner of the U.S. Open outright. So how about you just sit down?
And the other
pal?
people that picked Wyndham, like I mean this, like so many people had him. Great calls.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw Axis had him. I saw a few people. I saw Noonan had him. No. But the thing is, do you think they're mad at Cust because Cust has sucked all of the air out of the room on Wyndham Clark and they don't get any credit?
No, but to my point, they don't deserve it like Cust does. I will only say that because they also had like Scotty Scheffler or John Rahm or Victor Hovland or like 2 other really good players in front of Wyndham Clark. Tim did not.
No.
Tim didn't have a soul in front of Wyndham Clark on his to win the U.S. Open list.
And I didn't flinch all week.
No.
Nor should you. And that's why we love you. And I would say this is probably better. People wonder, what did Tim win on Wyndham Clark? I'll tell you right now. He won more than he won for that goddamn Survivor. Fucking Paul owes him a pallet of DCs, whatever you call the.
This is my Danny Willett
box.
moment.
You're actually right. This is your Danny Willett moment, and I'm very happy both for you as your friend. Because I believe we were talking about this on the golf course the other day, that you and I have sort of the same philosophy when it comes to trying to win at golf when we're playing our friends. I don't wish anyone to play very poorly against me so I can win. I want to go out and win. I want them to play well. I want me to play well. I want me to play better. That's the end of it. I don't want to see them shoot 110 or something like that when they normally shoot 85. So I am happy for you that you actually nailed this.
And I can sense that deep appreciation. That makes me all the more happy.
I played my best front 9 of my life with my buddy who's way better than me. I'd never beaten him by this much of a margin on 9 holes. He played so bad, he didn't even see my shots. So I agree. You just want to play great. You don't want your buddy to play like horribly. That's the worst. Then he's golf sad, and he's not even in a good enough mood to like tip a cap.
Do you think, Tim, this is all a part of your new positive outlook? Because last year, as we documented with me, you, and our other friend who's a part of our playing group at our course, you were getting really golf sad. You were hard to play with at times because of how sad and angry you were. Now, this year on the golf course, you are playing a little bit better, but it's very similar. The game's coming around the last 2 weeks or so, I'll give you that. But you haven't been sad all year. You've been taking it in stride.
It's all good vibes.
Hey, all good vibes out on the course. I think this translated.
You know what? I'd like to believe that that's true. It's all good vibes. I now have a new person that has become one of my guys in terms of golf for the rest of my life. I am now a Wyndham Clark stan. It's in my Twitter bio. I am here permanently with Wyndham Clark. He can win any tournament that he's in. I wish I had him again for one and done this week. I think he's totally live at this.
One and done. Freaking animal, Tim.
I think now with my second win, I may have wrapped up a one and done unless one of you all hit the British Open.
No, because the majors are actually worth less than the elevated events in terms of money.
I thought the U.S. Open was the highest pot.
I think it used to be.
Players still, isn't it?
I think it's now the players. I mean, they have it listed here as 3.5
mil.
Yeah, 3.5 mil. It's $5 million to win an elevated event. So if I win this week, I'll pass you again.
Well, you know what? So be it.
Because both Rom and Scotty, Rom battled himself back for me, and Scotty had a good week for Geoff.
Tim, this is your. I would even argue like Denny Willett is almost like a band's like first great song. It gets people buy them, makes a music video, puts them on the map. This is almost like the John Lennon's Imagine, bro.
Well, I'd buy that analogy, except for that's not a very good song.
I don't know. I'm just saying, like,
but I know what you're saying.
I don't know music. I'm sure if I like music.
What's Dave Matthews' biggest hit?
Shut up. I haven't listened in like 15 years.
What, you don't travel around North America with the same other like 30 losers?
No. I had a lot of buddies in Chicago for Crunchy Tunes Fish a couple weeks ago or last week. Whatever. I don't go to music.
I take your analogy. You're right. The Danny Willett was like a palate cleanser for people to get ready for this type of. Sure. If I can help contribute to the mystique of this show by giving 100-1 as my favorite bet and never faltering on him at the U.S. Open, I am very happy to have done so.
And the margin, right? Like Ricky or Rory win and a winning score of 8 or 9 essentially flips it all. And we're on the precipice of all of this. Do you feel emboldened to plant any flags today? Like that's sort of what the people want to know. Like, are you ready to plant a flag for something in this moment?
I feel even more confident than I did 3 months ago that I'm going to be watching my team win the Super Bowl.
As our friend pointed out, if you had just bet on Wyndham Clark, you could have paid for that trip to the Super Bowl.
Well, maybe, you know what? That's right. But you almost wonder with the way karma works, if I put a big bet on Wyndham Clark, what would have happened?
That's true. Just like if you had called it over at any point for him, what would have happened?
Wow. But what I got paid out on, and continuing to get paid out on, is far dearer to me than any sort of cash, which can be spent in an instant.
Tim, I said on a tweet last night that someone said Tim going to be unbearable now. I'm like, yeah, when you're arguing with him about how his $8 frozen mozzarella sticks contribution to a potluck everyone put effort into, he's going to be like, you have no right to criticize me. I called Wyndham Clark.
Yeah, you had the same reaction to my pick of Wyndham Clark as you did to the mozzarella sticks. So, like, who seems to be offside now, pal? Tell you who isn't. Guy who hit 100-1 long shot to win the U.S. Open. And the thing is, the difference between this one and like the Danny Willett one for you guys, that like the community was with you guys. Everybody was cheering for you guys. I had to deal with Ricky stands and Rory stands and the weirdos that bet Scheffler at majors that he's never going to win. Like I had to deal with all this stuff. Like I felt like I was I don't want to say it again because Geoff tells me I say it 4 or 5 times a year, but I really felt like you-know-who out in the wilderness screaming, let's go
you
win
said it on Friday. You got to own it now and have it.
I felt like John the Baptist this week, once again, screaming, make straight the path because everyone like Ricky and Rory are probably 2 of the most, if not the most popular golfers on tour. And, you had a lot of people with money on Scotty Scheffler. So it was a week where it was sort of like me against the world. It was like 300, except this time my army won.
I'll tell you, on Saturday night, the Scheffler bettors were talking like they're the smartest people.
Well,
on
the
earth
thing
when
is,
this
people talk
over.
about Scheffler like he's Tiger Woods in the year 2000. And like, I guess they just need to keep losing money until they learn that that's not true. He's a marvelous player. He's not a transcendent player.
I don't think people bet him a lot, though.
People
Like, he
talk
took a
about him at
stand a
every
major.
tournament, like, oh, if he could just do this, he'll win by 20 strokes.
yeah,
No,
if he could
he's
just-
not
Yeah,
good
that's
enough.
true.
It's
He's
funny
not
though.
good enough.
It's funny because he closed at 7-1 or 6.5-1 to win this tournament. Although going into Sunday, what was he, 3 strokes back, Jeff?
Yeah, four. I
He was
make this
he was
point
he was
all the
four
time.
he was 4.5-1 or 4-1. Like that was a better bet than betting him pre-tournament. It didn't win, so it was
I
a
know,
bad
like-
bet. But in terms of like value, he just needs to come back 3 on 3 guys. That's probably better odds, like overall in probability, than just outright beating 156 from the beginning.
I always say this, and you can't like call the shot, and I didn't bet either of them. But yeah, you see that often, like that ultra favorite 3 or 4 back, a little like 3 back, half the number on Sunday. The pro bettors will yell at me because I don't consider every 10-cent point as important as they do.
But they're not hitting
I know
100 to ones like Tim Andercust is. They're trying to.
Yeah, no, I agreed with that.
Robbie
sentiment on Scheffler.
Rob Pizzola is out here trying to grind 2 cents on an NHL line when he could just bet on Wyndham Clark and win all the money. Seems pretty easy.
There you have it.
Pizzola
I mean,
might
if I
have
can
bet
leave
on
advice-
Wyndham Clark. He's a pretty sharp guy.
Don't worry about being too clever. My advice to people is don't worry about being too clever by half and looking for all the extra points of value. When it comes down to, just ask yourself the question, who do I think is actually going to win? And like, stick with it. I think if you take that approach, you're going to succeed in the long run.
I am taking that approach this week at the Travelers Championship, by the way. I've identified a few guys, most of them long shots, that I'm just like, I think these guys are going to break through, so I am betting on them.
I'm
think that's a
prepared to
smart way
lose
to
a
go.
lot of money this week because I feel good about way too many guys. But this is a big like kick in the nuts. And it's a fair pivot because you got to find reasons almost when we do this each week, Pat. Like, give me the reason not to bet the guy. And for Wyndham, in many ways, like Max, is like, I don't know, he's never contended in the major. I like to see them like taste it and fail before getting it. And, boom. None of that for Wyndham, certainly.
Well, can you keep the heater going, I guess is the question, Tim. Do you have a one-and-done selection for the Travelers Championship?
Yeah, I like Harris English.
Oh, okay. I've bet on Harris English already, so that's great news.
He's won this tournament before. He played well at LACC. Goes from one easy golf course to another easy golf course. I think this is what the smallest course on tour other than Pebble. Like it's not a challenging track. The winner is going to. I think it's going to play a lot like last week. I remember we talked about on Friday. You said that the people who play well at the U.S. Open who are like standout weirdos, tend to thrive the next week at Heritage. So Harris English sort of fits that mold.
How Tong Lee's in the field this week. Oh no, that's the Open.
Well, he'll be
Sorry,
at that. He'll be at the range until 10 p.m. Then.
sorry, that is incorrect. He is 151 to win the Open Championship this year. Do you have any as your renewed status as a big game hunter? And I think the last hot streak you went on like this is when you started calling yourself the big game hunter because you had a WGC and the Players in the span of a month with DJ and Rory. And then now it's been 5 years, but now you're back. So do you have any final parting words?
I was right. Despite it all, despite all the laughter and the mocking, and you to admit you did give the one redeeming claim about every once in a while I hit a winner, and this could have been the week. It was so gratifying to know I had a little bit of magic left that I could still pick a big game. Pick this out. It's just thank you to all the people for the kind words. The credit is very much appreciated. I'm soaking it in. Who knows when it's going to come around again. You people have made it extra special for me with the almost predominantly kind, positive vibes. The positive vibes you give to me, I send right back out to you, and I wish you all the best in those endeavors. But looking forward to being able to relax this weekend. Like I was pacing the last few holes, and like I don't need that. So that's a lot of stress. I'm going to relax. Look forward to Valderrama next week, and then the British Open in a couple more weeks' time. and we'll see how it goes. It was a lot of fun. Thank you for having me on to take a victory lap. It was very kind of you. I enjoyed it. Follow your heart, and that's where the picks come from.
Do you feel,
when the heart and the head meet together, where you go.
Do you feel like you've handled this with more grace than that awful Tommy Fleetwood, according to you?
Well, again, you miss a putt for 62 when it doesn't matter because you're not going to win the tournament anyway. The score's never getting there. You hit the second time in your career you shot 63 in the final round of the U.S. Open. And your response is, I'm feeling terrible because I missed that putt. Again, just a lack of understanding the moment you're in and the history you've made. And it's just not a mature reaction. It's profoundly disappointing. No lessons have been learned.
I would say, as we were talking about it a little bit pre-show, is that it's so on brand for anyone who plays golf. It's just like, of course I missed that. Like, you see the 63, no matter what you shoot. I mean, especially if you are a very competitive person. No matter what you shoot, all you remember are the 3 or 4 strokes. You're just like, I should have had those ones. Like, those were easy ones. I should have had those ones. Like, that could have been better.
They asked him this question minutes after that missed putt.
Right after he misses, right after he misses
where
the putt.
He is,
he's probably like, fuck.
And that putt wasn't going to win. Like, his number with that putt was never getting in. Like, he was never winning with that score. So, like, you just gracefully say, it is such an honor to have been able to play my best golf in these biggest moments. Gee, I wish I'd made that putt, but what a fantastic round it was, and it's a really great moment, and I learned a lot. That's the classy, professional way to respond. Not to shrug off in what seemed like a contrived way. I'm feeling terrible.
Can I make this about you again for just one more moment?
Fine.
Like, stop. We don't need to make it about other people. Especially, I don't need you throwing stones at Tommy. Do you think we should get you a medal and you should wear it on U.S. Open Sundays? Like,
yes.
I think you earned
Yes,
this
I do.
one.
Yes, I want. Every single U.S. Open Sunday for the next at least 10 years. If winning the U.S. Open gets you 10 free appearances in the U.S. Open as a champion for free, I should get to play that medal card claim. For the next 10 years, I should get to retweet out the Wyndham Clark Windy City tweet for 10 more years and get credit for that, the same way that like Justin Rose has for the last 10 years.
You should show up at Father's Day dinner wearing your medal for the next decade.
I
totally agree.
Last question for me. Is this the first time you've ever actually got to send one of your drafted tweets?
It might be. That thing got drafted on Thursday. And it was sitting in the draft since Thursday. And other ones came in and went out and I decided that was actually the one I wanted to go with. It might have been the first time I was able to tweet out a drafted tweet, and it felt really damn good.
Now that you're on a heater, I think the people want to know. We've done this a few times. Can you give us one of your drafted tweets right now?
All right, fine. I'll give one.
Okay.
One tweet out. Let me pull it up.
The first one. What's the next one?
Okay. Soft in January, soft in September. Buffalo proves once again it's not fit for prime time. Hashtag Monday Night Football, hashtag Jets. I'm already ready for that week 1. Can't wait for that soft Buffalo team to come into Gotham City and learn what real football is all about.
Oh, that's amazing. All right. Well, congratulations to you. Congratulations on everyone who tailed Tim. And the laughter is going to come in for Geoff and I. But we're big boys. We can handle that. So congratulations to Tim. Congratulations to everyone. We'll move on and start talking about the Travelers Championship to try to get some winners after we say goodbye to the big game hunter himself and our cursed believer, Tim Cust. And yes, that is still his name. Although we can call him the big game hunter, at least for a little while. At least now he has a legitimate winner, Geoff, and he doesn't have to pretend like Hideki won the Players anymore.
I'm so happy for him. I wouldn't be surprised if by Wednesday he's running and operating timrungood.com.
Do you think he would know how to purchase a URL?
No, not at all. No.
It's good, though. It's good for the brand as well. The Tim needs to be right every now and then. It's no fun if he just loses every single time. And I have to really thank him because, it overlooks like how shitty our picks were because he gave out a winner on the show. That only helps us. And I guarantee you the ratings for this Travelers Championship show are much higher than they previously would have been if this had not happened.
Yeah, listen, we gave Cam Smith that was like in the range we played, and that didn't work out, but Yeah, I mean, I'm thrilled. You're right. He does have to be right once in a while. Although, as we joked about, and it was in everyone's mind, the like precipice of it flipping and being an under 10 winner of Ricky or Rory would have been equally like hilarious in the other spectrum. But this is good. This is great. I don't know. Happy for Tim. And you guys are in, like, I'm in the orbit with him via the show and the internet, and we're pals. But in your like actual like close knit group chat, like close personal friends that hang out, this will probably get exhausting quick.
No. He'll try to bring it up, and there's enough people around who just don't care that they can point to other things. So there's that part of it. Let's talk Travelers Championship, though, a tournament where we've been pretty successful at. And as I mentioned that, Tim needs to hit one every now and then. I feel like I need to hit one every now and then. That would actually be nice, at least for my bank account going forward. So let's try to get one here. We hit DJ here. We hit Knox here. You hit Harris English here. I hit Bubba here. That Bubba here was fantastic. He couldn't not win every time that I bet him. So let's try to get back on track. Going with some gut plays this time around, as Tim actually pointed out, and you can find in my column on not Fantasy National, on DKNation.com right now. It was just published. This is the second shortest course in the PGA Tour rotation, behind Pebble Beach Golf Link, 6,852 yards. Pete Dye, design, par 70. Xander is the defending champion. The first of back-to-back wins for Xander Schauffele, who won at the Scottish Open the following week. But he is not at the top of the odds. And good thing that Rory didn't win, because I think a lot of the talk would actually be about Xander Schauffele today, and it is just not. He wore his party time shirts, and maybe he went out and partied afterwards. Who knows? But Scheffler is again the betting favorite. He's 7. Rahm's 8.5. Rory's 9. Schauffele and Cantlay are both 12-1. Those are the big five in this tournament. And then it drops down to Hovland, Morikawa at 20 and 22. Finau at 25. Matt Fitzpatrick at 28-1. And then Tommy Fleetwood, the ungrateful Tommy Fleetwood, at 30-1 on DraftKings Sportsbook. To throw this out here now in case people have tuned in just to see what the bets are. Right before we came on, I saw a boost on Tommy Fleetwood up to 40-1 at a place that is open, I hear, 365 days a year, and I bet Tommy Fleetwood at 40-1. And that's sort of me going with my gut. Like, if it wasn't Tommy Fleetwood and he wasn't a known gag artist, that we would just look at his results, how he's playing, and be like, he's about to win.
I was in on the 35, so I'm obviously excited that the 40s show up. The broadcast interview Tim is speaking of, where he seemed ungrateful, I can't really speak of. I didn't hear it or see it, but I did we see his more like post-round media scrum, and he seemed incredibly grateful, and he said he feels as good as he's ever felt in his professional golf career. So, we almost pulled it off in Canada. Great little run here since we touched. Typical Tommy, though. I don't know that us, like, touching had anything to do with Tommy doing exactly what Tommy has always done, aka blowing a great chance to win and losing in a playoff, and then, starting his round in 100th place and finishing the tournament in 6th place. But yeah, I'm in on Tommy. That's an easy one for me. At the top of the board, I don't know. The weeks after a major, they always seem scary for me. The very top, Pat. And I don't know, maybe we're due to like have everyone's chips taken, because I feel like we're on a crazy run of not having like these super elites win, at least to what we sort of got used to for a bit. So maybe they're going to like pull the green 00 on the roulette this week, but I'm still totally ready. To fade them. Obviously, Victor, I think about lots.
I would think about Morikawa was the one for me. Just he's playing a lot better. He still can't putt to save a lick, although he putted a little bit, but he generally does that in California. And when you go look at the things that he is still doing well, it's basically putting it next to the pin from 175 and in, and that's all this course demands. It is the shot with like the fewest, besides Pebble Beach, the fewest amount of shots from beyond 175 yards.
Yeah, so as I was sort of finishing, I'm always kind of interested in Hovland, and I don't really feel he contended, so I don't really feel like he's deep into it, and we're still got our great vibes, and he's making up and downs, but Morikawa struck me as a guy who I think could be a great course fit. Not always a great I'm not like a Morikawa guy, so this could be a spot I actually do jump on. Do I trust he makes enough putts here? It seems like you got to make a lot of them to win, but I like where that's going. And yeah, I don't know, anything like 27, 28 to 1 maybe. Seems fair for me to probably try that.
You saw a 28 to 1? I'm only seeing 22 to 1 right now.
Oh, those are all gone then? That'd be
Oh no, I see a 27 right now. I'm looking at it. I might actually.
Yeah,
I might have to be in it. That was my like instinct, but I mean that's always my instinct, and that's usually wrong. So, it's tough to parse.
And
for
I'm
me in
not
that
an
way.
instinct. I'm not a Morikawa instinct guy, but that was one of. And I really like Pat, and I kind of stressed this before majors, and I think I'm really hot out of majors this year. Grillo and Fitz were out of majors.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, anything to like put a little air in my own tires. Okay, out of majors. I'm a hunting out of majors. And these ones don't really correlate to the previous ones, but of good players the weeks before or after majors, like guys who are 30 to 1 and under, I really need some sort of motivation for good players in some ways. And Morikawa's like desperate to get off the win map. And I know it's an elevated event, so that's probably an old thinking that I should just drop entirely, because as you said, they're playing for 5 million, which was more than last week. So in talking through this, yeah, that's probably an archaic golf scheduling thought with weaker fields out of majors. But now that there's super fields out of majors, maybe I need to like totally just erase that one from my notebook here. But Morikawa is the under 30 to 1 good player who caught my eye the most this morning.
Yeah, and that lines up exactly with me. Looking at the modeling that I did on Fantasy National, a lot of this is on the research show from Sunday on Mayo Media Network, fantasynational.com/Mayo, to get yourself that 20% off. I think if you get the monthly now or starting next week, you'll get the last of the Open Championship to get in there with it. And it's all the good players that it will tell you. It's Cantlay, Scheffler, Fleetwood, Fowler, Clark, Rahm, Morikawa, Schauffele, Hideki, Hovland. Those are your top 10 in terms of the numbers that I went in. And the only reason that Morikawa is suppressed because they have extra guys listed in this field. And actually, I think it has 162 guys listed in the initial field that we're in. Obviously, there's only going to be 156. Yet somehow Colin Morikawa, out of 156 players, ranks 157th in putting from 10 to 15 feet. Not great.
Yeah, that's a problem. And again, you look at the putting stats, and I guess any week, the guy who wins usually putts great. But here it seems like the guys that win like have exceptional putting weeks, even for them.
And to look at it, here's a nice juxtaposition between Rahm and Morikawa, who are back-to-back. I'm just noticing the numbers stick out a lot. And Xander, weirdly, is on this path right now, too. And it's just really strange. So an overall par 4 scoring over this time range, Xander is second in par 4 scoring. Rahm is 4th in par 4 scoring. Morikawa is 73rd in par 4 scoring. And obviously, par 4 scoring at a par 70 is going to be absolutely huge when the par 3s are the really difficult ones. You tread your water on the par 3s, do your scoring on the short par 4s. But this week, there are 8 par 4s that are between 400 and 450 yards. There are even some that are shorter than that. That is the key range for par 4s this week. So despite being 73rd in the par 4 scoring overall, Morikawa is 8th overall from 400 to 450 yards. Conversely, despite being second, Xander is 117th on those short par 4s, and Rahm is 57th. It's just, you want them on the long par 4s as of right now. Obviously, Xander won here last year, so he can definitely get it back dialed in. But it's just funny to see how well they're scoring on the really hard par 4s, but not the really easy par 4s, where that's actually what Morikawa was doing.
I could be dead wrong, but anyone that has what happens to Xander in a major, the next week I cannot bet at like 12 or 14 to 1. Like if he wins that, then I'm like, that shows a lot of
moxie,
mental toughness, and like easily to put it away. And this is no joke field, so it'd be a great win and a great payday. But at that price off that weekend in like a high stress, long, like major situation, like we all know the variables that go into that, like it's just like I can't even consider it.
Let's move to 30 to 50 to 1 then, because this is where you have your U.S. Open national champion, Wyndham Clark. He is 35 to 1, the same as Max Homa. Cameron Young is actually 30 to 1, and I think he just got ejected from the Ryder Cup team until he starts doing anything. Fleetwood 35 to 1 at DraftKings Sportsbook. Ditto with Justin Thomas and Ricky Fowler and Jason Day and Hideki Matsuyama. Tom Kim, Sungjae, Connors, Thigala are all 45 to 1, and then you have Lowry, Henley, Scott, all at 50 to 1. Now, I have bet at better numbers 2 of these guys, and you might be able to find those better numbers out there still. I think that they still exist, whether you go somewhere else, whether you enhance them up, whatever it might be. I bet on Sahith. I bet Thigala at 60 to 1 with the top 5 each way, and I bet Russell Henley at 66 to 1 with the top 5 each way.
Okay. I like both of those. Those are 2 names that I am swimming around. I'm also swimming around 50 to 1 Tom Kim's Pat.
Yeah.
And was that like a good or an eye roll? Like
no, a good Well, I have to depend on I can't fit in Tom Kim if I bet Morikawa. But maybe I just won't bet Morikawa. Maybe I'll just roll with Fleetwood and have that be like my top guy, and then the rest are just guys I want to see win.
But I totally like this spot for Sahith.
Do you remember
the Travelers would have been a 5-star Cam Young spot for me when it was that other guy. I've seen it as high as 50 this morning, Pat.
But do you remember what happened to Sahith here last year? He should have won.
Refresh my memory, because Xander didn't Xander just kind of blitz him?
No, Sahith had a 1-stroke lead playing a 72nd hole, bombed it middle of the fairway, and then he thinned it into the bunker and made bogey, and he ended up losing by 2 to Xander.
Yeah, well, maybe I was at a cottage or something. I have no memory. Just remember Xander getting props at 22 to 1 and it being pretty popular because that's the number people would bet him at a major. But I wasn't on it.
Yeah, I mean, with Henley, I mean, it's been pointed out, and I mean, I kind of pointed it out too. The last time we've had a West Coast U.S. Open, whoever the jabroni guy on the leaderboard is just wins the next week at the Travelers, albeit a little bit different because this is an elevated field. This field resembles more what we saw in 2020 when Dustin ended up outdueling Brendan Todd. I think Brendan Todd came 11th or something like that when I think he shot 80 or something in the final round. It was just horrible for him. But that year, even with the superstar field that we had at TPC River Highlands, it was like superstars at the top and absolute jabronis at the top. So maybe that can happen again, even though this is an elevated event.
Yeah.
And I did find,
I don't know. This field seems pretty strong, but the elevated events have kind of been giving. You see, like Wyndham and Kitayama. There's been some, Taylor at the wire and Phoenix. Like, there's been some give in them, and I think the out of the major allows for even more maybe of an opportunity. Like Fitz was 30. Colonial wasn't elevated, was it?
No, Colonial was not elevated, but Scheffler and Spieth both decided to go play there. Spieth is not playing this week, the side of his chip in against Daniel Hauser-Berger in the playoff, the club throw, the big hip bump, and then I believe he went on to win the Open Championship against our poor Matt Kuchar just after that. Is Patrick Cantlay this our version of Matt Kuchar?
I mean, to me, Cantlay's ceiling always seemed kind of higher.
Yeah, but relative to
peers,
Kuchar felt like a guy who would win majors at some point 13 years ago. Like compared,
and there were times I was like 25 to 1 betting. It's not like there was a period where he was pretty short in them, and a lot of times penultimate group Sunday Masters, penultimate group Sunday U.S. Open, in the fairway with Spieth at the Open. Maybe Kuchar contended in them more than Cantlay, but he was older. Actually contended in them.
Oh, sure. And I think that Patrick Cantlay's the better player, just when you're assessing what they do well. But like you said, relative to the other players around him, it just wasn't as deep when Kuchar was as good. And look at his big wins. Memorial and the Players' Championship. I could see Cantlay with the Players' Championship eventually. And he went bogey-bogey on 17-18 in the final round to come T14. He almost just randomly had that backdoor top 10 again. And then you would look at it next year and be like, man, Patrick Cantlay's pretty good. He came top 10 at the U.S. Open We almost got that. Almost. We didn't get it.
Almost. Hey, played. Yeah, I don't. And maybe I grade. Maybe I graded on a curve, because maybe I didn't take the totality. Because I was entertained yesterday, and maybe that was sort of where I gave you my 8, for this year's U.S. Open. But I don't know. I'm just not as upset, I think, as a lot of people.
No, I mean, if people were really that upset, maybe don't watch. If it's really, if it's viscerally making you angry to watch golf because you hate the course so much, maybe go do something else. Honestly. But people want to be upset. Doesn't matter what it is. People just want to be upset. And as we kind of pointed out on the Cut Sweat show, did it seem like a good course for the U.S. Open? Not really, because that's not, when you think about the U.S. Open, you expect the toughest test in golf. And when it's not that, that's when people get all triggered about things. But I thought the course itself, as an advertisement for that course, I thought the course was really cool.
Yeah, and I mean, the course did look cool and probably, be better suited for other events. But I don't know. I'm silly sympathetic to the fine line and how difficult it is to walk that tightrope of being really hard but not unplayable, and trying to make fans and players satisfied. It's a very narrow landing strip the USGA has set up for themselves for people to be happy.
I would say that if they actually allowed people onto the course, which they don't seemingly want to do, that it'd be a sweet Ryder Cup spot.
Yeah, that makes sense. And that was another thing. The atmosphere just didn't feel, I mean, I get their reasons for it, but I don't know. Didn't feel felt empty at times, really strange.
50 to 100 on the betting board. As mentioned, I actually had previously bet Tim's one and done, so stay hot, Tim. Harris English, 75 to 1. I played that with 5 places as well. I also gave a look to Minwoo Lee at this price point, another guy who had a very good U.S. Open, and I gave a look to Denny and Siwoo as well, but I settled on Theegala, Henley, and English as my 3 from in here.
Yeah, so of your Theegala, Henley, English, I like the Gala the most. I'm seeing some quite large numbers on Adam Scott, so that can always be tempting for me. And Siwoo, I know you mentioned him as a pass, but he looked like someone who to me could be a nice fit here. But I'm more stuck around that 50, because even I'm seeing, you could enhance a Hideki to 50, which kind of has my attention. I don't know that I'll have much in front of 40 to 50 seems like my big go zone. I'm gonna pepper it pretty hard.
What if I told you that there was an enhancement right now of Ricky Fowler to 40 to 1?
I'm not picking on Ricky, but I'm not for it. Although I'd argue this should set up lovely for a player with his skill sets with confidence. If he still has it. I assume he has it.
Someone just sent this to me. Kyle. Shout out Kyle. I think I'm going to bet this because I bet this at, I forget what stupid tournament it was. It's under extra. I still don't see it here. Players under par. So for this event, there is a bet right now. Will there be over 62 players under par for the Travelers Championship at plus 115? That feels like a really good bet.
How many players at plus 115?
62. So the cut line here has been under par each of the past 5 years, at least -1. So if that's the case, then you're going to win your bet.
Yeah.
If the cut line is -1 or lower, I guess, then you win. Let me go to Fantasy National here. See the last time it wasn't. And guys can rally on the weekend, too. Even if it's at even, it doesn't mean that they're stuck at even. Historic cut line, -1, -1, -3, -1, -1, +1, even, -1, even. So each of the past 5 years, it's been under par. I'm betting that hard. Anyway, continue. Sorry.
No, I mean, I don't. My mind can't even quantify those props. What was your Henley number?
Let me pull it up. 66.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk? Do you want to talk about the bombs, the 100 to 1s?
I just played the babies in there for the big numbers. I played the
Aberg.
Aberg at 150 for a little sprinkle, and I played some of the Eckroat at 150 at 200 for a big sprinkle.
Yeah, I went to go play Eckroat at 250 to 1. I had it pulled up and I went to go hit submit bet. It's like the odds have changed to 200 to 1. I was like, ah, shit. I missed 50.
That was before I got there.
Yeah. So I got the 200 as well with the 5 places. It is now down to 125 on that site. And then at DK, it is 90 to 1 at the moment. So from 250 to 90 to 1, everyone is literally on Austin Eckroat this week. So that's a miscut waiting to happen.
Yeah, and I don't I mean, like, I caught a huge out of the gate number in Canada on Aberg, like 120. So I had a little fun with that. And then this, obviously it'll probably stay pretty high. It's an elevated event. He's going to be like 22 to 1 at the John Deere, and that's when I'll have to make a decision, because it's all fun and games at these numbers. And people might be like, Fienberg, like, you probably harassed a lot of players at the Canadian Open. Like, no, that's not the case. I harassed 2 players. One was Tommy Fleetwood in like a friendly way, and the other player, you could say, the only other player I asked for a picture with the whole week was Aberg, and I could have gotten a picture with any of them outside of Rory. Probably wasn't an opportunity for that. I was like, dude, I know I'm like grown man asking you for a picture, but you're gonna win 3 majors, so I need a picture. And that was early in the week, and the picture didn't turn out good. Maybe I'll send it to Paul, because it looked like I had like a stroke. So then a few days later, I caught him around the clubhouse. I was like, listen, I'm so embarrassed I have to bug you for another picture. But when you win those 3 majors, I told you you're going to win. I don't want to have a picture with you where it looks like I had a stroke. So I got another picture with Aberg. So I'm an Aberg guy. I mean, he made a sound. He makes a sound that, I know it's the Canadian Open, there weren't enough stars there, but I didn't hear the sound that he makes from anyone else.
Okay. Creepy.
Very.
So 100 to 1 and beyond. I mentioned Eckroat, who I bet. I also bet Shank at 200 to 1. I went back and I looked at like what do a lot of these players have in common who have won at TPC River Highlands over the years. So you have Xander, Harris English, Dustin, Reevy, Bubba Watson, Spieth, Russell Knox, and just a lot of the guys that have contended. Like Paul Casey has played really well here over the years. Brian Harmon has played really well here over the years. There's a few courses that I've isolated that have done really well. So Augusta being one of them. Obviously Dustin and Bubba and Spieth all have victories here. Riviera is another one I would point to. Phoenix is another one that I would point to with Xander and English and Bubba and Paul Casey on top of that. And the Valspar, I think, is really the one that pops out. I was really kind of disappointed that Sam Burns wasn't playing because I thought that Sam Burns would be a fantastic bet here. But I've seen Shank play really well at a lot of those courses, then really well at the Valspar. And last week he just didn't quite have it at the U.S. Open. We've seen him pop enough, and he's 200 to 1. That's why I bring it up. So I've already bet on him. So now I'm in this weird predicament where I kind of agree with you on Morikawa, but there's just other guys in the 100 to 1 range that I like that I might just say, fuck it. Not going to bet Morikawa. Maybe I'll bet 2 or 3 more of these guys at like 200 to 1 because I love Aaron Rai and I love Justin Suh.
Okay, I could see that. Both are playing really well, and if you feel like it's time for a moment, if you're inspired by Tim, I would say they're as primed as anybody at those numbers, like to have that moment, probably way more than the Aberg and Eckroat money that I kind of tossed. But so yeah, I like those. I don't mind those calls one bit.
There is one other guy.
One other guy back here.
Well, there is one guy who he's 300 here at DraftKings. He's also 300, starting to play like good golf again. Can't putt to save his life, but has played really well at Pete Dye courses in his career. And now the ball striking is back. The driving and the irons are both back. Do you know who that man is?
Did he miss the cut at the U.S. Open?
I don't know if he qualified for the U.S. Open. But let's see.
Okay, because there's someone that missed the cut that I'll bring up next. So we're probably not talking about the same guy. I don't know.
He was 27th at Wells Fargo, 19th at the Byron Nelson, and then 12th in Canada. It's the Gim Reaper. He's back.
Oh, your boy. It's your boy. Mayo's boy.
So instead of betting my guy Morikawa for way less money, I can bet Rai, Eckroat, Gim, and Shank instead. And like that for half the money I would have to bet on Morikawa to make it make sense.
Yeah, and not that Morikawa is going to save you if an elite like the very top wins anyway. But yeah, I guess. I mean, you're liking those yeah. Like I said, we've gotten some big numbers in these elevated events. Maybe that's just a thing. And out of the majors, there's an angle to me that it can work for these guys who aren't the superstars.
And the one issue I have is, even when this wasn't an elevated event, and you go back and look at the winners, Xander, English, Dustin, Reavie, Watson, Spieth, Russell Knox, I think Bubba was the year before that as well. They've all been not like the favorite, but like kind of the favorite. Like that's even Harris English the year that he won. What was he, like 45-1?
Yeah, 45-50. He was still, yeah.
Like Reavie was super short the year that he won. That's why no one bet him.
Yeah, no, there's a case that you're going. I mean, listen, you've gone this sort of back and forth a bit all year where I remember early in the year, like, screw it. I'm just going to like stick with the good players. I'm done just like having these bomb filled cards, but now you want to tilt it back. Like I know it's golf betting is a mind fuck. You got to choose your own adventure, man. Like,
let's see.
I don't have the prudent advice, for you. Usually my betting cards are indicative of me thinking the good players are just going to win.
Shez was 55-1 the year that he won. So that's the longest winner that we've had. Because I vividly remember Russell Knox being 40-1. Remember that like it was yesterday. Dustin was 25-1 when he won for us.
Yeah, it was even high. It was stupid. Yeah. Awesome. The best.
So you like Seb Straka, do you?
Well, he's sort of coming around. I don't know if maybe this course is hard enough for him, but it was like that 7th at the PGA, 29th at the Schwab, and that nice Memorial, all like the things that he does well we're starting to really sort of happen. He missed the cut, and you sort of mentioned with Morikawa, it's a lot of long irons are asked for here.
No, a lot of short irons are asked for here.
So fuck Seb Straka.
There we go. The best players, even if we sort of like, let's go last 12 to see who like the best like wedge players are. 125-150, Rahm, Kitayama, Scheffler, Gim, and Hollywood Hoagie, along with Justin Suh. Russell Henley is up there as well, and CT Pan. And you know, actually rates out really well this week, Detry.
Okay. What's he, 150 maybe?
Right, 3,000-1 or something like that. He's not going to win, but you know, the numbers say he looks good. Guys even closer than that: Morikawa, Kazire, Spawn, Eric Cole. Eric Cole, if he had made a little bit of a run, he would have qualified as like loser who's on U.S. Open leaderboard, but he faltered a little bit when it came down to Sunday. So he's up there. And then the key proximity range, it's Rye, Knox, Ben Martin, Shank, Billy Horschel, Hovland, Brandon Wu, Carson Young, John Rahm are the names that pop up. And your boy, Seb Straka.
Well, that's an interesting mix of players there.
Yeah, it really is. So I'm just trying to figure, like when I sorted it, and I have this in the research show, I kind of have like who are the best at like kind of all three of them or two of the three of them. And then it's like Xander, Rahm, Morikawa, Aaron Rye is really high up on the list. So is Ben Martin, weirdly enough. And Jim Herman. Apparently he's in this field. But Lord knows the last time he played.
I saw him in Canada during a just walk through a practice round.
He was there. He missed the cut.
Yeah.
All right. You want to get to the one and dones?
Yeah, we can do that.
All right. So one and done picks for the Travelers Championship. Tim has already selected Harris English, trying to go back to back on the one and dones. I'm taking Tommy Fleetwood because I have not used him, and you have, which means that the board is open to you for a selection, sir.
Morikawa.
Are you sure you haven't used him?
Rarely bet him, so that would have been
You used him in Phoenix this year.
Oh, what a loser.
$0.
Probably played horrible. Yeah, probably played horrible. Forgettable. Regrettable.
You still have to make a pick.
Yeah, now we're going into like weird territory then. Damn. Well, the race for the Wyndham is over. I guess give me Tom Kim.
Tom Kim was used at the Byron Nelson for $45,000 by you.
Sahith
is good. The Gala for the 1 and done. So my betting card, and this is probably what it's going to be structured like. The highest guy I have up is Fleetwood at 40-1. After that, I have Henley, Thigala, and Harris English, 60, 66, and 75, all with top 5 each ways. I went Shank at 200-1, Eckroat at 200-1, and I'll probably end up adding Suh and Rise bombs along with Gim at 300-1 just to backfill the end of that card. Just because I want to root for these guys all weekend, and they're super silly long odds with so many good players in this field. So again, as we say every week, when Scotty or Rom win by 10 strokes, you're going to get the board wiped on you. But hey, that happens every week, so you might as well go with the guys that you want to bet.
Well said. I'm in on that Tommy, on that enhanced number at 40. Still staring at Morikawa, but I've bet Tom Kim 55, and I'm staring at Hideki and Sahith. And now that I use Sahith as my 1 and done, probably throw that on there. 65-1 here.
Let's do it. Geoff Fienberg. Follow him on Twitter at gfienberg17. I'll be back tomorrow with the Degenerate 75. I'm like number dyslexic apparently. 75. So James is joining me to talk about DraftKings Showdown and just getting into the industry and shoot the shit about golf a little bit. I'll be back with Tambo on Wednesday and then Jake Seeley on Thursday. So a full week of the Pat Mayo experience coming at you. Congratulations to everyone out there, Cust included, but all of you who hit on Wyndham Clark. Shout out to Neil who won the $500 giveaway. And that'll do it for us. Smash the like on the way out. We'll see you next time.
Mayo Experience!